Good evening. How is everybody? Can everybody hear me? Okay, because I've been having audio issues again, as always. But I think I got them fixed, so hopefully you guys can hear me. Alright, you guys can. Awesome. That's great. That's great. I'm not doing too bad, too well. That's why this stream is only going to focus on mainly one thing. Because I haven't been feeling the best the past few weeks, because it is getting that time of the year where I have to I'm kind of starting to kind of chill out a bit and kind of just go straight into winter time. So me kind of laid back going into the end of the year. This month was supposed to be doodle month, but I'm kind of burnt out on drawing, so I'm just doing enough to get like past, like get everything set up for the up to the new year, so I can kind of take a break during the month of December and just kind of have some fun, just seeing out the best year in gaming, 2023. So yeah, but we're gonna do one thing. It's probably gonna be a pretty short stream, maybe the shortest stream I have ever done. And that is this right here. We're gonna be voting. I don't know. It depends. I'm gonna take my time, and we're gonna be voting on the Game Awards. I wanted to go ahead and get this done while it's still somewhat relevant, so that when December 7th comes around, I'll be ready. But yeah, we're gonna go through all of them and vote. Although some of them I don't know nothing about. So we're gonna go through a few. I got a lot of stuff on my. All right. Anyway. So we're going to go to all categories. We're going to start with this one and work our way up to here. And we're just going to kind of discuss, just kind of chill out, discuss, and have a chill out time going through all these. So first one is Best Esports Event. This is a very easy one for me. Evo. This is the only one I watch. I'm not a Dota, Valorant, or Blast TV, don't know what that is too much, or a League of Legends player or watcher. So Evo is going to be the easiest one. I like fighting games. I like watching fighting games, especially Tekken, which is coming up. I'm so hyped for Tekken 8. Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and vote for this. The Best Esports Coach, again, I don't even know if I should be even voting here because I know none of these people. So you got a Valorant, Counter-Strike, got an Overwatch, which I'm surprised that is still going. I got another Counter-Strike and League of Legends. No Rocket League. No Rocket League, like, no Rocket League, which is really interesting because Rocket League is, I don't really watch Rocket League that much, mainly watch clips of it. Shut up, phone. So I don't really know too much about anything else, but if it was Rocket League here, I would. So I don't know if I should just skip it. It looks fun, but it's pain. It's pain. Like, I have the game I played, I try to actually get good with it, and I couldn't get good with it. It is really difficult. I mean, it's fun to play around with friends and stuff like that, but I have my cousin. He got really good. He got like very, very good at Rocket League, and he tried to teach me how to play properly. And I spent about a month, almost 100 hours in the game playing it, just to try to get good enough to where I can play and actually have a good time online. and I couldn't. Like that game, the skill ceiling is so high. Again, it's fun if you're playing around with people who are your skill level, but everybody I play with, their skill level is so high that I just cannot have fun with it. So, I'm just not going to vote because I do not know any of these people. Okay, best esports team. Okay, you got a Valorant, another Valorant, Dota, League of Legends. Again, I don't watch any of these games. Again, if there was a Rocket League team, I would probably vote for them. But, So, I hate to have the second two kind of just go by the wayside because I don't feel confident in getting these people. I mean, maybe Counter-Strike. But again, I don't play Valorant. I don't watch Valorant. Dota 2 and League of Legends, I don't care about. Yeah, the bottom ones are esports. We're getting all the other stuff out of the way so we can have some good discussions later on. But we're gonna just go past this. Esports athlete. We got League of Legends player, a CS:GO player, a Valorant player, Call of Duty, League of Legends, and Apex. Again, no Rocket League player, no fighting game people. None of these are no fighting game, which is interesting because those are some of the most skilled players. My opinion. Because that takes technical skill as well as, again, I'm not saying these, like, people who play these games competitively are bad. They're not. They're very, very good at their game that they play, and they put a lot of time into it. But I don't know. They've never had a whole lot of fighting game representation in these, which is kind of sad because that is one of the most popular esports. It's actually fun to watch. Even if you don't really know how the fighting game works, if you know the base mechanics of it, it's fun to watch. Skilled players fight each other. 101. It's really, really good. But I'm going to go ahead and just, go past this one. Best esports game. Okay. Alright. This one I can actually look at and be like, no, I don't know anything about it. Counter-Strike 2 should not be here. Did it like just come out? Wait. Hold on. Let me check this. When did CS2 come out? CS2 release date. Yeah, it just came out in September. That shouldn't be here. Maybe CSGO should be there, because that's been around for a while. But CS2 should not be there. That's very, very interesting. They went ahead and put that there. Yeah. I didn't know this was a esports game at this point, but then again, yeah, it's a battle royale. Obviously, so probably, yeah. I used to love PUBG, not the mobile version, but just the PC version. I had so much fun with that when it first came out. But yeah, I don't know any of these, so again. Alright, Content Creator of the Year. I know one of these people. And that is People Make Games. No, it's... I don't watch a lot of her content, but I know of her. And I think she won last year, I believe. Did she win last year? I'm gonna have just an extra thing on the side. I think she won last year. Content Creator of the Year 2022. Okay, no, Ludwig won last year. Okay, I know who that is. So Ludwig won last year. So that's it was Gaming Creator of the Year. Yeah. So that's Ludwig. Yeah, he won last year. But I'm just gonna go ahead and do it. So first one we got out of the bag. Most anticipated game, recognizing an announced game that is illustrated potential to push the gaming medium forward. So I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm not looking forward to this. Do not care about this at all. Tekken 8, I am extremely excited for Tekken 8. Hades 2, I am looking forward to, but I'm not as excited as Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I am really looking forward to Rebirth a lot. So okay, we did this one. So yeah, that comes out very soon, within the next like 2-3 months. Like in February is when it comes out. I love Final Fantasy Remake. The 3 modern Final Fantasy games that came out in the last decade, I would put Final Fantasy 15 at the bottom, Final Fantasy 16 on top of that, and then Final Fantasy 7 Remake on the very top of the single player Final Fantasy games right now. So I'm pretty stoked for this one. Yeah. Best adaptation. Recognizing outstanding creative work that faithfully and authentically adapts a video game to another entertainment medium. All right, I think this just came out. I have not seen this at all. Gran Turismo was actually a really good movie. They actually, it wasn't perfect, but they actually nailed it. For what the story they were trying to tell was. The Last of Us TV show was good. Very, 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 very good. And it just works so well as a TV show, as well as a video game. But, Naughty Dog likes to make very cinematic games, so it just makes sense. Alright, Super Mario Brothers, this right here slapped. This was such a good movie. Just a fun, wholesome family movie right here. I had a lot of fun. I think this is the only movie I saw in the theaters this year. Is this one right here. And then we have this thing, which kind of everyone thought was going to suck. And it turned out to actually be legitimately good. It isn't the best. It does not deserve to win. Out of all of these nominations, it does not deserve to win. But it does deserve to be here. Because this was a lot of fun. I really had an enjoyment of it. But I think The Last of Us is better. Okay. So, HBO did a really good job with The Last of Us, and I'm very interested to see what the season 2, which is going to be in part 2, is going to do. Very interested to see that. But, alright, best multiplayer. For outstanding online multiplayer gameplay and design, including co-op and massively multiplayer experiences, irrespective of gaming genre or platform. I can't talk. So yeah, we got the big boy, Baldur's Gate 3. I haven't got a chance to play that. I'm actually scared to play this because I know how good it is, and we'll get to that later on. Diablo 4, I got a buddy of mine who plays it non-stop. I do not care about Blizzard games anymore, so yeah. I don't know. Super Mario Bros. One I heard a lot of really good things about. This was a lot of good things about this. Street Fighter 6, probably the most accessible fighting game. The most accessible fighting game, and some of the best like online matches. Like, this is very good. Very, very good. And then you have Party Animals, which there's people on my Steam list that have been trying to buy this for me because they like it so much. I say no. because I do not have the time to play it. But people have actually tried to buy this from me. Super Mario Bros. Wonder, yes, it's got co-op. So, I'm probably gonna go with Street Fighter 6 because I know Baldur's Gate is going to sweep the Game Awards this year. If any game does it, it's going to be Baldur's Gate. Best esports racing game. None of these seem interesting. I do not care about these two. Forza Motorsport was a disappointment. I never got a chance to play this, but the first game of this was fun. It was actually legitimately fun. But I haven't got a chance to play the sequel yet, so I do not know if this holds up. Crew Motorfest was good. Not great. It was good. Yeah. This is actually a good Hot Wheels game. It's legitimately a good racing game. You go to the GameAwards.com and you sign in with your profile, whatever, and you can go ahead and start voting. Yeah. But I'm gonna vote for the Crew Motorfest because I do like what they do with their racing games. But I feel like they do play it a little bit too safe with this. Best sim and strategy games. Advance Wars. Or, best game focused on real-time or turn-based simulation or strategy gameplay, irrespective of platform. So we got Advance Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp. Good game. It's literally a remake of the first two Advance Wars, which they've been out phenomenal. City Skylines 2, this was one of my most anticipated games of this year. I haven't got it yet because it runs like dog poo right now. I hate to say that. I will get it eventually, but right now it doesn't run very well, so I'm not good at it. Company Heroes 3. Yep. Fire Emblem Engage. The story, although kind of lacking in the characters, kind of lacking in this game. The combat, the actual gameplay is actually legitimately good. I think it's better than Three Houses. And you got Pikmin 4, which everybody loves. I've never been a big Pikmin fan, but people are just adoring this game right now. I don't know, I just never particularly liked it. This is kind of a hard choice between this one or this one, because I played a little bit of this. I'm gonna go Fire Emblem. Best family game. For the best game appropriate for family play. Alright. Yeah. Disney Illusion Island. Never heard of this as a thing. Party Animals, Pikmin 4, Sonic Superstars, Super Mario Bros. Wonder. I can tell you who's going to win this. Mario Bros. Wonder is going to win this, hands down. Yeah. Again, it's like, I heard Party Animals is fun. I know certain people in my circle play it a lot. Actually, a lot of people in my circle play it a lot. Again, I'm not. But yeah, I think Super Mario. I'm gonna do that one. All right. So what's next? Best fighting game. For the best game designed primarily around head-to-head combat. You had God of Rock, which I didn't know this existed. Mortal Kombat 1. Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl 2, which just came out like a week ago. You got Pocket Bravery and Street Fighter 6. So I think Street Fighter 6 is going to win this one because this one hasn't had time to settle yet. And I didn't hear, I don't hear about these two at all. I heard this one's fun. Mortal Kombat 1, although the gameplay and stuff like that seems like there's a lot of fun, I don't know. Mortal Kombat 1 had some issues, and their microtransactions are kind of ugh. But the gameplay seems to be a lot of fun. But I feel like I'm gonna be skipping this one for a while. So Street Fighter 6 is probably the fighting game of the year. It's gonna win. Let's see what God of Rock is, because I've never heard of it. Alright, I'm going to Steam page. Turn that down. Oh! Okay. It's a rhythm-based fighting game. That actually looks pretty sick. That's cool. I like something doing something different. I like that a lot. I mean, I might give that a try, actually. That might be a lot of fun. But for fighting game, I'm voting for Street Fighter 6. It's hands down. Best RPG. Oh boy, one thing should not be here for an RPG. I wonder what that is. We have Baldur's Gate 3, Final Fantasy 16, Lies of P, Sea of Stars, and Starfield. This should not be here. Let's be perfectly honest. If you played Final Fantasy 16, it's a good game. I think it's a good game, but it has but it is a I don't because this is a basically a beat 'em up or an action game with RPG with levels basically. This one should not be here. Lies of P is, I haven't played too much of it, but it's more of a Souls-like. I heard it's really, really good. I'm actually thinking about getting it. Sea of Stars I have on PS5. I have not started it yet, but this seems like right up my alley in terms of like a 2D like RPG that's like kind of like Chrono Trigger. Maybe by the same people who did The Messenger, which is really interesting. And you have Starfield. It's just there. It's more of an RPG than Final Fantasy is, but Baldur's Gate 3 is going to win this one. Hands down, it's going to win this one, and it's got my vote because you can't deny Baldur's Gate 3. Again, we'll get to it. All right, best action adventure game. For the best action and adventure game combining combat with traversal and puzzle solving, you got Alan Wake 2, Marvel Spider-Man 2, Resident Evil 4, Star Wars Jedi Survivor, and The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. This is the first one where Tears of the Kingdom is actually here. I haven't played too much of this. I know it's really, really good. Really, really good. And all these games are good. All of these games are deserving of being here. Is it though? I heard people just have a lot of fun with this. And again, I haven't played too much of it to give it a fair shake. So it doesn't have my vote because, I mean, think about it. We have a Zelda game that's coming out. And it's like it's good. It is an excellent game. Yeah. 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 I mean, I'll take your word for it. But I've heard it's just Breath of the Wild, but better. So it's not really innovative as much. It does have like where you can make your contraptions and stuff like that and see people do cool things with it, but I feel like this game would be better if it was on a much powerful system. Let's say that. But best action adventure game. Oh, this is a hard one. It's between Alan Wake 2 and Resident Evil 4. I'm thinking Resident Evil 4 because Alan Wake Although I think it's phenomenal in every aspect, it is right now at this moment kind of unpolished. I've had issues with it, with Falling Through the World, and some things just not working correctly. Not like anything to get into the way of how it is. But it like, I think this right here is like they fixed the combat, which certain people in the chat have had issues with. They fixed the combat. It's not a whole lot of it, so it doesn't overstay its welcome. It's got one of the best video game moments of the year in it, if not of all time in it. And the story is so intriguing throughout. And also it looks really, really good. It is a very pretty game. Like, graphically incredible. But I do think it's too buggy. And it does bring it down a lot, so I'm going to vote for Resident Evil 4. Because, again, Resident Evil 4 came out. I've been playing on PC and everything. I didn't have the optimal setup for it. And it still was really polished. Really polished. And it just a very fun game to play. Alright, best action game. Not action adventure, action game. For the best game in the action genre, focused primarily on combat. Armored Core 6, Fires of Rubicon. Dead Island 2. Ghost Runner 2. Hi-Fi Rush. And Remnant 2. So, there's two games here that I've played a lot of this year. But Ghost Runner 2 is actually pretty good. It's actually pretty good. I don't think this was just kind of put here because it needed a fifth one. I feel like because I heard it wasn't that good. It didn't really look interesting at all. I heard this was really good. Remnant 2. Heard that was really good and really fun. But Hi-Fi Rush at the beginning of the year, like, started off 2023 with a bang in terms of video games. Came out of nowhere, and it was excellent. The soundtrack, the way the music worked, it is excellent. However, I feel like it lacked complexity. Like, after you got good with the rhythm, you can just beat up everything. I'm like on the hardest difficulty, and it's not as difficult or challenging. Past that part, I feel like they do a sequel to this. I feel like if they do a sequel to this, this would be like Game of the Year contender. If they do a sequel to this and add more stuff and just flesh out the combat system, because the animation, the art style, and the characters and the voice acting, the story, it's all phenomenal. The final boss fight is epic as hell. It's good. But this is Armored Core. And it was really, really good. Like, I usually don't do this when games tell me to play multiple times. I usually don't do that. But I played this through 4 times to get the true ending. And I enjoyed every single moment of it. So this would be my game of the year, to be perfectly honest. If I had to put something in the game of the year. So, best VR AR game. For the best game experience for playable in virtual or augmented reality. I haven't played none of these. None of these I've played. Because these three right here, maybe these two, are on PlayStation VR only. So I can't play them. I don't have PlayStation VR. I don't care about getting it. I've heard of Snaps, but I haven't really looked into it. Resident Evil Village, I heard, is really good at VR. So is Gran Turismo 7. But Gran Turismo 7 kind of made me sad. So I don't really want to give Gran Turismo 7 anything, to be perfectly honest. Like, it's a franchise that I love growing up. But this one is like, I don't care, and it kind of bummed me out that it turned out how it was. Um, so I was gonna get Resident Evil Village. 'Cause I trust Capcom to do a good VR title. Best mobile game. I don't play mobile games. Daya, what is this? What do you pick? Because I don't play mobile games. Too bad no ATS, yeah. Because I downloaded Hellcon Star Rare. It's still on my phone, but I haven't played it yet. Hello Kitty Island Adventure. I heard this is like Animal Crossing, but with Hello Kitty characters, so. Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis. I don't understand this game because it is a remake of Final Fantasy VII, but done more proper to the original. Like it is the original Final Fantasy VII, but like upgraded with graphics and stuff like that. So it isn't like an action game like the current one is. But I don't know why that is like a ongoing mobile game or whatever. I don't get it. Honkai Star Rail, it looks good. It's got some waifus. It's got turn-based combat. I heard a lot of good things about it, but I don't like gacha games. Yeah, but I don't know. This is Monster Hunter Now, which is basically Pokemon Go, but with Monster Hunter monsters. It's basically what it is. It's made by Niantic. So, it is Pokemon Go, but with Monster Hunter. I don't know how good it is, though. Consider I don't see anything about it. Probably not that great. I don't even know this was even a thing. This is Netflix. I like Pokemon Go, but I don't want another Pokemon Go. Like Pokemon Go is Pokemon Go. Yeah, I mean, again, I played their original game before Pokemon Go came out because I thought it was really cool. It was a really unique idea, and then Pokemon Go came out and just blew up, where everybody was playing it. So I had tons of people to play it with. But again, I'm kind of like died down with Pokemon Go for a little while. So I don't know what this is at all. So I'm gonna let Daya vote on this one because she plays mobile games. I don't play mobile games. Yeah, you had to pick. Yeah, come on. No, actually, take your time. We have plenty of time. Hello Kitty. All right, we'll do it. That's on my record now. I voted for Hello Kitty at one point. All right. Best debut indie game. For the best debut game created by a new independent studio. Cocoon, Dredge, Pizza Tower, Venba, I think that's what it's called, and Viewfinder. I only know of these two, and this is incredible. Cocoon is incredible. I haven't had a chance to sink my teeth into Dredge, but I really liked what I played last year. I really think they did a tremendous job with this. But these other, I haven't seen. I heard Pizza Tower is pretty good. I don't know about these though. But it's between these two. Cocoon is good. No dialogue, just puzzle solving. It's so good. I think that's what. Very, very unique. Yeah. Very unique. This is really hard. This is actually one of the harder ones. Because both of these are good, though. Let's all right. Where is my coin? I got a six-sided dice. So even numbers, Cocoon, odd numbers, Dredge. So roll it here. All right, odd numbers 1, so it's Dredge. Dredge 1. All right. Again, all these are probably very, very good. Well, they can only be one. Best independent game. For outstanding creative and technical achievement in a game made outside the traditional publisher system. Dave the Diver should not be here. I think this is one of the more controversial ones. Dave the Diver should not be here. Because technically it looks like an indie game, but it's really not. It's made by a big corporation. So it's technically not an independent game. Because it's not independent. Yes. So CS Stars is going to get that. I really like these people right here. Although, you know, again, Dredge and Cocoon, both of those are just really good. But CS Stars is one of those. It's like I want the day where I can just sit down all day and play a game, and this is gonna be it. And not to say David Diver is a bad game, because it's not. It's not a bad game at all. I've heard really, really good things about it, but it's not an independent game. Best community support, recognizing a game for outstanding community support, transparency, and responsiveness, inclusive of the social media activity and game updates and patches. This should not be here. Just saying. Baldur's Gate 3, very interesting. I don't know how the updates are and what they add and stuff like that. I'm not sure about this one. Cyberpunk, yeah, it's been supported. It came out with its 2.0 update, and it is a good game. I would say it's a good ass video game now. We're gonna skip this. Final Fantasy 14, yeah. However, I don't. This has been weird for Final Fantasy though, because like I haven't been motivated to play it, other than to play the story and do the raids and stuff like that. But I haven't really been compelled to play it this year. But it does have good support with the community and stuff like that. And then you have No Man's Sky. Well, I mean, they beat what Baldur's Gate 3 came out in September, so that's like 2 patches a month. Not bad. But No Man's Sky came out. I haven't really got compelled to play that this year that much either. But they came out with constant updates and stuff like that, new stuff to do that add new exciting things to it. So, this is yeah. I mean, all of these, besides this one, all of these have good patches and good community support, I would say. Yeah. No Man's Sky's good, but I do think Final Fantasy 14 is going to take it because it's dominant, and it does have good community support. It's have one of the best ongoing. Okay, rewarded to a game with outstanding development of ongoing content that evolves the player experience over time. I think Warframe was on last year. So Apex Legends. Yeah, they haven't, but they tried. Like the Fall Guys event, I feel like that was a really cool idea. I feel like the Fall Guys event was a cool idea, and I'm glad they did it. I just do not like it because of how bad the netcode is. but I do think it was a creative, finally something new and fresh that's different, which is what the game needs. More of that. And that's what a lot of people are saying in the community. Alright, Apex Legends. Probably not. Cyberpunk. Yeah, technically it's an ongoing game because it's been getting constant updates and stuff since 2020. And now it's safe to say with its final update is actually good. Final Fantasy 14, obviously it's been going on for 10 years. It's going strong. Although I do think Endwalker is kind of one of the weaker expansions. I still think this is phenomenal. Fortnite still going strong. It's going so strong that they reverted back and going back to the old map. Genshin Impact, weebs rejoice. This is just everybody's favorite thing. However, these two I think it's Apex 2. I do like the way you can play on mobile and switch back and forth between consoles. I think that's really cool. But Final Fantasy. Do we get... Yeah. Okay. Games for Impact. For a thought-provoking game with a pro-social meaning and message. I have heard of none of these. So I do not know. I really don't know. I guess Space for the Unbound, that sounds cool. And the art looks good. I thought it looks good at all these though. I'm just gonna pick this one because I don't really know. Yeah, I played it for a little bit. And it's like, this is cool. Never again. Never again on Genshin. I'll just look at the freaking degenerates when they post their artwork of the characters. It's funny, I know a game more for its porn than I know of its actual gameplay. Innovation in accessibility. Recognize the software and or hardware that is pushing the medium forward by adding features, technology, and content to help games be played and enjoyed by an ever wider audience. Okay, so Diablo 4, Forza Motorsport, Hi-Fi Rush, Spider-Man, Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter. This is a pretty simple one, Street Fighter. Because what I said earlier, Street Fighter 6 is the most accessible fighting game, period. It has two control methods that are both viable competitively. One's called modern controls, which are they're easier in terms of like doing the moves and stuff like that. It's easier to pull off moves, but you do less damage, so you have to actually think and play with strategy a lot more. And then you have the classic ones, which are like the quarter circle roll forward, fireballs and stuff like that. We're just like classic. And then you have a whole lot of accessibility options, which, you know, a person with a disability can actually play competitively, possibly. So it's actually pretty nice. And I'm pretty sure all of these have really good accessibility options. I know Forza has some really good accessibility options. Hi-Fi Rush does too. Marvel Spider-Man does too. I'm not sure about Diablo 4, but it's probably going to go with Street Fighter 6 just because of that. Like, I can give Street Fighter 6 to Diamond in the chat, and she doesn't like fighting games as much, and she can learn how to play a character and actually play well if she tried. That's it. Alright, best performance awarded to an individual for voice over acting, motion, and or performance capture. Yeah. So Ben Starr, Final Fantasy 16. Cameron Monaghan, Star Wars Jedi Survivor, Idris Elba, Cyberpunk 2077, Phantom Liberty, Melanie? I'm sorry, I get the name wrong. In Alan Wake 2, she played Saga. Neil Newbon, Baldur's Gate 3. Yuri Lowenthal, Marvel's Spider-Man 2. Okay, so first of all, Ben Starr is exceptional as Clyde. Like I said, I liked Final Fantasy 16. I do think towards the end it kind of overstayed its welcome a little bit, and there's some issues with pacing here and there. But overall, I enjoyed it. But Clive, his voice performance is just, it's primal. It's on another level. Idris Elba did a good job, I heard, in Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty. Cameron also did a good job with Jedi Survivor. I mean, she did a good job. I like Saga a lot, but her voice acting didn't blow me away. Now this dude right here, for Baldur's Gate 3. Oh boy. If I can find just let's see. By the way, both of these guys, Ben Starr and Neil, are both awesome people on social media. They're awesome people. See if I can find. Let's see. I wanna find like some voice acting of him he did, because he was he was the undead vampire everybody was thirsting over. Let's see. See what I can find. Alright, I'm gonna put that down for a second.
Next up is Taylor.
Let's see.
With a star in. Be as creative as you are able to. Is that like, that sounded very much like a backhanded compliment. Sort of passive aggression. Be. Or are able to be.
Alright, let's see if I can find it.
Thing now, man. That's Astarian's gonna say that back to you, babe.
Let's see. I'm just gonna go just say some lines. He has some really, really good lines. Okay, hold on. Alright. I hope there's nothing bad in here. We're gonna tempt fate, though.
Listen, you see Larida at the dig? Tell her I'm dead, impaled, half-eaten. I don't care. Make up a story.
Nothing says true love like faking your own death to avoid someone.
Okay, that's pretty good. But yeah, he plays the undead vampire guy. Yeah. Again, he's really cool on social media. He's really funny. Man, Ben Starr, he just won the Golden Joystick for best he just won the Golden Joystick for best best voice actor. So, he's already got an award. And Yuri Lowenthal is also really good at Spider-Man. Like, he's exceptionally good at Spider-Man. I think he's better than a lot of them. And all the voice acting in Spider-Man are fantastic. But he is Spider-Man. Oh man, this is really hard. I feel like Ben Starr is going to win this one. And honestly, honestly deservingly so. I'm gonna give it to him because I mean he killed it with his role. Best audio design. Recognized as best in-game audio and sound design. Oh boy. Oh boy, we're getting close. Alan Wake 2 had exceptional audio design. Exceptional audio design. Dead Space Remake. The original Dead Space had exceptional sound as well, and they just basically copied, not really copied it, but created it again. So obviously, yeah, this one's also going to have good audio design. Spider-Man 2, yeah, it did have some good audio design and stuff like that. Resident Evil 4 is good. It's really good, but I don't think that it excels at audio. Hi-Fi Rush is good though. Like, cause the music actually went what you're doing. It actually had to stop and like kind of keep the momentum going. So I feel like it was really, really good at doing that and keeping the momentum going throughout the entire thing. And kind of so did Alan Wake 2. Yeah, it is. You're right, it is the game over the graphics or anything else. If your game doesn't sound good, it's not going to be playable. But I feel like these two knocked it out of the park. But I'm going to give it to Hi-Fi Rush because I'm going to give Alan Wake something else later. Best score and music. For outstanding music, inclusive of score, original song, and or licensed soundtrack. Did this game have any music except for like slight tickling of the piano? It didn't have any memorable tracks. I'm not sure because when I think about Zelda, I think about gameplay and puzzle solving. Excuse me. I don't think of Zelda when I think of music except for the da 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 da. Hi-Fi Rush. Perfect. We've already discussed that. Final Fantasy 16. You said it does not deserve to be here. I think Zelda does not deserve to be here. I do think this deserves to be here. Because Soken's music in the game is phenomenal. And he did this, not only that, he made this music while making 14's music while going through cancer treatment. I think it is. I remember the Bahamut theme. I remember the Titan theme. I remember all the big themes. And I remember the battle music. But the fact that he did all that while recovering from cancer, because he not only did the 14 soundtracks for 5.3, those bangers, he also did this. Yeah. Well, yeah, because Final Fantasy XIV is 10 years old. And Soken has had time to put a lot of good music into it. I agree. Final Fantasy 16 music will never be as good as Final Fantasy 14 music. Yeah. But then again, Final Fantasy 14 is an ongoing game, whereas this one's a finished product. I feel like all the music worked for the setting. It worked for it. I think the music is probably the best part of this game, besides the voice acting. That's just my opinion. Baldur's Gate 3, I don't know much about Baldur's Gate 3 music. Alan Wake 2, although I think has really good audio design and such, not as good as Hi-Fi Rush. That one thing that happened in the game, which if you haven't played it, I'm not going to spoil for you, that had a lot to do with music in here, and all the music was good. And it's actually memorable, but I think it's memorable because there's so little of it in hindsight. It does have the best moment related to music, hands down. I went back and played that part several times. Hands down. But my feelings on this is I think Final Fantasy 16 should take this, just because I think it's really good music that I still listen to outside of the game. Because like it's kind of like on a playlist that when I'm working, it kind of pops up. Whereas Alan Wake's song or the music, it goes with the game so well that it cannot be separated from it. And that's kind of how I see about like score and stuff like that. And so I'm gonna go Soken. I'm a Soken simp. Oh yeah, this game is exclusive. So what I'm saying is like for Final Fantasy 14's music, I can listen to that music outside the game and still appreciate it for what it is. Whereas Alan Wake, when that part happens, and again, it's one of the greatest things in video games. Yeah, it just works for that moment, and I don't think I can listen to it outside of the game and appreciate it as much. So I do think Final Fantasy 16. That's probably the only award I'm going to give Final Fantasy 16. I do think it's a good game, but when you stack them against all these behemoths, it kind of becomes like towards the back. Best art direction. Oh boy, this is difficult. So we're gonna have to be harsh here. Zelda, although I do like the art style. Yeah, I'm about to give it. As in, I like The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, and Tears of the Kingdom's take. But I think again, yeah, it's just reused from Breath of the Wild. There's nothing new. There's no evolution. So we're going to you can go ahead and mark that off. Mario Brothers Wonder, with the animations and just the way it looks, the art style and everything, looks great in motion. You can't really see it from here, but it looks great in motion. Liza P looks great with its Victorian steampunk aesthetic. I really like the art style, all the bosses and stuff that I've seen. I really like this world, and I can't wait to finally jump into it. Hi-Fi Rush, another good ass looking game. It's so well animated. And man, it's so good looking. That I'm hoping they make a sequel. I really hope they make a sequel to this. Now, with Alan Wake 2, I have to applaud them for their art direction in this game, because it does go for a hyper realistic stuff like most games do nowadays, go for that photorealistic. But what Remedy did is they took that hyper realistic graphics and graphical style that all the games, big budget games, are doing now, and they actually made it work artfully. I can't say too much about it because I don't want to spoil anything, but there's certain scenes that are just, this is a playable work of art. And I do have to applaud them for doing stuff different. They did the same thing in Control as well. And like they have this super hyper realistic style, but they just have some really cool visuals and a lot of really good storytelling in it. That it does do. I do like that it is hyper realistic because it just looks. It just the way they handled it was really well done. Liza P is getting it. That game looks. That art style is phenomenal. Holy shit. Alright. Best narrative. Oh boy. This is a toughie. Phantom Liberty I haven't played yet, so I don't know how Phantom Liberty is. But I heard it's pretty good. Not as good as the original game, base game, but I heard it's pretty good, so mark that off. Final Fantasy 16, although I enjoyed the story and everything, I do feel like it had pacing issues, especially towards the halfway point. Basically, after the Bahamut fight, I had issues with it. Spider-Man 2, great story, great Spider-Man story, very safe. I don't like this as safe. Alan Wake 2 is one of the best stories told in video games this year, I feel like. Although I think the ending was kind of flat. Not a bad ending, but it's flat. Because it's just the way they handle it. I can't say anything, but there is DLCs coming out for Alan Wake 2 that's going to continue the story, and I am all down for it. I will buy all of them. Because the storytelling in this game is so unique. And that is the thing, it's very unique. And you cannot put it into words. You cannot describe this. This is not safe. Yeah, most of Remedy's games, they try new things. Like Control was really, really weird, the way it's storytelling, to the point where it got a little bit too weird for me, that I just could not grasp it. But I'm glad they tried it, and I feel like they nailed it with Alan Wake 2. Their weirdness, and the fact that they never tell them your next move approach to storytelling is something that I wish more people did. Then you have the elephant in the room, which is a technical, elusive marvel of storytelling, because you basically tell your own story, but somehow the game just goes along with it. And you cannot shake the fact that this is going to win this one. This is going to sweep. This is going to win this. But I cannot deny that this is impressive what they've able to do. I will get to more in depth with Baldur's Gate 3 later on. But since I haven't played Baldur's Gate 3, and I have played Alan Wake 2, Final Fantasy, and Spider-Man, I'm going to go Alan Wake. I know he's going to lose, but I'm going to go Alan Wake. Because I do think his storytelling is something special. Best Game Direction. Awarded for outstanding creative vision and innovation in game direction and design. Alright, basically the same thing I said for these two. This played it safe. This also, I feel like this is kind of bad because I like Zelda. It's really hard for me to give it because you had this behemoth came out and just took honestly, I'm saying this is Baldur's Gate 3. Hands down. Yeah, Spider-Man and both out. And I haven't played much of this. I've seen it, and I've heard it's really good, but I haven't played much of it. But Baldur's Gate 3 is something special. And again, I'll get into it whenever I go to close up. Game of the Year. Recognizing a game that delivers an absolute best experience across all creative and technical fields. At an hour and 6 minutes into the stream, this is the big one. So you have Tears of the Kingdom, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, Resident Evil 4, Spider-Man 2, Baldur's Gate 3, and Alan Wake. At this point, I feel like they should, but there's only 3 I think 3 remakes have came out this year. There's 4 Dead Space and something else. I can't remember. I think it's only 3 though. So here is the argument against that. Let's start with Zelda first. Let's just talk about all these games, and I'll get to it. So Tears of the Kingdom is a game I was looking forward to playing. And to the point where, don't tell Nintendo this, my Switch broke and has not been acting right. So I moved all my games and stuff, including ROMs and stuff, over to my computer so I can play them on an emulator and still enjoy them. So I did play the first, the Sky Islands, whatever, with, through an emulator, running it at high frame rate and stuff like that. And I think it's a beautifully stunning game, and it has a lot of good stuff in it. However, I don't think it should win Game of the Year, and it's because you have all of these behemoths. Yeah, Breath of the Wild. Well, and that's the thing about Tears of the Kingdom, is what is kind of disappointing about it, is that Breath of the Wild came out and just changed everything. Like, after years after that Breath of the Wild came out, like, there's games that are trying to copy it. Genshin Impact was one of them. They tried to copy, or they basically copied in alpha stage, Breath of the Wild's mechanics and stuff like that, in the open world traversal. And that game is doing hella well right now. Like, Breath of the Wild took everything that we knew and threw it out. And also, it was a debut on the Nintendo Switch. But again, it was different, and it was new, it was exciting. That's why I put a lot of time into Breath of the Wild. That's why probably you out there put a lot of time in Breath of the Wild. It's because it was new and fresh and exciting. When this one came out, and I started watching trailers and stuff like what's new in it, and it's just Breath of the Wild, but bigger and better, I'm not as excited to play it. I will eventually get to it, and I will eventually play it. But it's just, the excitement is not there. Super Mario Bros. Wonder, this is the only game on this list I haven't took much time to look into. Again, I've said it several times. It's a 2D platformer with co-op, with very excellent animation and art direction, and it's probably one of the best Nintendo games of the year. Yeah, I don't think so either, because it just came out as well. It came out really recently. Maybe they switched this with something else, like, Final Fantasy 16 would have been... I would be the contender for Game of the Year, I would say, over Mario Brothers Wonder. Even though I don't think it should win. Be a good contender. But, I don't know. Again, this might be one of the best Mario games ever made. I just don't know, and that's kind of what I'm very interested to do it. I don't have a Switch that works, and I don't want to go on shady sites and download ROMs to play it. Yeah, for this year, with as many stacked games as we've had this year, where we had like A+ titles coming out almost twice a month, yeah, Final Fantasy 16 kind of got buried. I do feel like if it came out last year, and it came out polished like it was, I do have to say it was, out of all these games, it was the most polished game to come out this year. I didn't have any glitches or issues with it. But if it came out last year and it was just as polished as it was this year, I feel like it would be up here at Game of the Year. I think it would have been up here with Game of the Year, and probably actually won. Who knows? Alright, now we have the controversial one in the room. Now, in 2019, Resident Evil 2 was on Game of the Year. It did not win, I don't think. but it was up here for Game of the Year. I don't think it won. Maybe it won. I can't remember. But as opposed to remakes go, like the Dead Space remake that came out earlier this year, it came out in January of this year, it was a shot-for-shot remake. I do not think it deserves to be up here. Even though there's a lot of time and effort, a lot of talented people work on it, I do not think it needs to be in Game of the Year runnings. For other stuff, yes, but not Game of the Year runnings. However, this game right here, although it does have the same characters, the same settings, and some of the same set pieces, it is a completely new game. From top to bottom, it is a brand new game. It is not a shot-for-shot remake of the original. So that's why I say it deserves to be here, because it is its own entity. It just is a remake only in name. And I enjoyed the hell out of this game. So much so that I actually got a jacket that looks similar to his. It's not his exact jacket, but similar to his. So that I can wear around and look cooler than I actually am. Which I am not. Yeah. Again, but I do think out of all of them, Resident Evil 4 and Resident Evil 2 back in 2019 were both deserving because they're completely different games. I don't think it win. I know what's going to win. We all know who's going to win. Not Spider-Man. Spider-Man 2 did lack a little bit of polish, from what I've seen. Did lack a lot of polish, but it was an overall enjoyable game. Very easy platinum. I think if you wanted to play a good superhero game, I think you'll have a blast with this game right here. Because it makes you want to 100% it, to find everything. And it does have a good story, even though the story's safe. I do think it's a good story. Yeah. I mean, again, it is a safe sequel. But it did have some really cool moments. And it did set up good stuff for, Spider-Man 3, whenever that comes out. And again, I liked Spider-Man. He's my favorite superhero. And they did him right. Twofold. But sadly, again, they didn't do anything new with it. And that's what I'm hoping for the third one, they just go all out and they do something just completely different. They shake up stuff. Like the first one did. The first I think it's 2018? 2017, Spider-Man. I think it's 2017. The first Spider-Man game was so different and unique at the time that it, again, it's the same thing that this had. Where when the first one came out, everybody was excited about it because it was new and fresh and interesting. And again, this is the first one, but bigger and better. Same thing with this one. Which again makes it technically a better game than the first one. But again, it's one of those you want to expect more for a sequel than what you got here. But again, it had some really cool moments. I really enjoyed it. Alan Wake 2. So this is fresh in my mind. I just finished it yesterday. So I'm still sitting on it and kind of seeing like what I think about everything, and which I think is also a really good thing that you can sit down and think about it and process it for a couple of days. Because this has a lot of stuff. I will be processing with this. Because again, it is, storytelling wise, technically great and wonderful. And I can't wait to start talking to people about this once they've completed it. But this is a very special game. I feel it's gonna be a very special game because the more I think about it, the more I'm like enthralled to go back and play it. Yeah. But, again, they do a lot of things right. It is very unpolished. There is some bugs and glitches. I fell through the floor. but visually it's a technical achievement for what it is, because it runs pretty well on PlayStation 5, which is where I played it at, and it has ray tracing. So the lighting is insane. And it's just really creative and weird, which I like. I like people doing stuff that's creative and weird. And it is Remedy's first survival horror game. It must be perfectly polished. These two, I feel like, wasn't as polished as something like these three right here. And then we get to what is going to be Game of the Year this year. Out of all these bangers, this is going to be Game of the Year. And I feel like it should be Game of the Year. This has to be Game of the Year. I haven't played it yet, so I can't say for certain if I would like it or not, but I've been playing through Divinity Original Sin 2. I think just this year we played it a lot with a friend. This is, again, bigger, better than Divinity Original Sin 2. But this does something a lot different from what I've said. I think it's different enough to not be a safe sequel. Because the fact that everything you do has consequences is just incredibly, like, this game is scaring other developers right now. Like, when this game came out and was dominating everywhere and everybody was talking about it, there's actually developers of high-end video games, by the way, basically making a statement. It's like, we cannot do what Baldur's Gate 3 does. This is scaring developers of other companies. And these are companies like half the size. Because it's so innovative. It's so new, fresh, different. It's got thousands of lines of dialogue. It has, different narrative paths that you can go through. It's basically a D&D campaign. Yeah, and even the graphics and art style is still good. Like, they look better than Starfield, whatever that is. They don't feel like animatronics. But again, this one is an achievement, and it should be studied. This game is going to be studied. So, I just think it's really funny that developers are actually coming out and being like, "Ho, we can't do what they did. Don't expect this from every game moving forward," which you should. Yeah, and again, I'm playing games that are like decades old, and I'm still like understanding their art style. They still hold up. I feel like games of today that are high fidelity graphics are not going to hold up as well as stylized games like this, or this. Even this, I think, is going to hold up pretty well, because Alan Wake 1 held up very well graphically. Because it had a style to it. Maybe the faces didn't hold up very well, but what can you do? It was 2010. But again, this is it. This is going to win Game of the Year, and I think it is deserving from everything I've heard about it. When as a game comes out like this that I'm scared to play it, just terrified to play it, like Elden Ring did last year. That I know that it's so good that I'm going to sink countless hours into it and never see the light of day. That's good. That's very, very good. And the fact that is upping the standards of what a video game can be. Yeah. Again, it's upping the standards for all developers out there to take a look and follow in its footsteps. Again, I've only played one of Larian's games, Divinity Original Sin 2, which I think is just it's a phenomenal game even today. But and also I do not like fantasy settings, high fantasy settings, and this is high fantasy. This is more like Cthulhu-esque, I guess, fantasy settings. But still, anyway. We're voting in the reverse order. Well, yeah, because we're going backwards. We're going from the bottom all the way up to the top. But yeah, this is going to be game of the year. Personally, my game of the year is Alan Wake 2 right now. Out of all these, Alan Wake 2 and Resident Evil 4, both of these. But Baldur's Gate 3 deserves it. Yeah. I mean, honestly, that's what most people are going to vote on is game of the year. They want to see the best of the best, so they're going to just find it and vote for it. So this category is going to be more votes than anything else. It's only crazy people like me that are going to go through and vote on everything. I will be streaming this. I do not know with who yet. I'm trying to get in contact with some people to have a buddy to come hang out on stream and watch it with me. I want Garen. I'm gonna be able to hang out with Garen and watch this again like I did last year. But I haven't seen him that much, so yeah, that's fair. But yeah, the Game Awards is December 7th, which is 3 weeks away. It's on a Thursday. So I will be streaming it, I'll be watching it, and I'll be enjoying it. Oh, one more thing about Game of the Year that I'm very excited about, and no one ever talks about, but I am excited about it. I am excited about this. So every year at the Game Awards, they do a melody done by an orchestra of like soundtracks going through all the Game of the Year stuff. And I hope, for the love of God, they do Herald of Darkness from Alan Wake 2. If you know, you know. I hope that they get on stage and fucking dance. Yeah, Flute Guy, yeah. I hope they do Herald of Darkness. They end the entire melody with Herald of Darkness with everybody on stage dancing. You're gonna hear a grown man scream when this happens. If it happens. I'm hoping it does. But yeah. I'm gonna be so happy if they actually do it the way I think they're gonna do it, which I'm hoping they do. Because it seems like, again, a very Remedy thing to have all the actors on stage dancing at the very end, the melody. But I don't know, they might not do it. Again, I always look forward to the melodies because I like music at the end of the day. I like a lot of music. Oh, I can RGX this? Oh, cool. Alright. But again, it's very, very. I'm excited to see it. I do think all the categories were really well done. There was some in there that I didn't like. I mean, I didn't feel like should be there. But I can't figure out any other things for them to be replaced with. I do think Starfield is kind of. This is very telling of how good this year is that Starfield was nominated for Game of the Year. That's really telling by how, like, good. Yeah, I kind of wish it was too, instead of RPG. But yeah. I will let you guys go. Thanks for hanging out for this hour and 30-minute going through all the Game Awards. This is fun. A little different. I'm kind of getting burned out on drawing, so it's good to take a breather and do something like this. I will be back Friday morning or Friday afternoon for a drawing stream. You guys have a good, wonderful rest of your day. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Later, guys.